Hola, witches.
Hello.
All right, so welcome to our first video, really, of the new year,
Mhm.
2017. Um, we have a very interesting theme this month, and it's really focusing on integrating the witch and what that means. And I feel like in order for us to really stand in our power and to really step into what it means to be witch, we need to really readdress what that is. And in this show, we are going to discuss what witches do, and we look forward to your interaction. And if you have anything to say, if you have anything to add, or debate with us, do so in the comments, and we'll have a lot of fun, y'all. Um, so yes, Miss Melissa, the dreadful mystic. What do witches do, and why is it important for us to talk about this?
Well, and we've discussed this a lot, and I feel like it is a common theme. I've seen a lot of blog posts that have touched on this some, but this year is the year of the witch. I mean, to me, I can feel it. I know that Mr. Blackthorn can feel it. We've discussed this quite a bit, as the year approached. So it is the year where if you are a practicing witch, you are going to experience a very interesting forward moving ride, and if you are a witch in name only, and you're not practicing, you're not casting, you know, um, it may not be as a interesting year for people who aren't really backing up what they say they're doing. If you're not really walking your talk. So I'm really interested to see, honestly, how things are going to go. And to me, some of the articles and expressions from other witches that I've seen have been pretty a lot much very similar to what I'm saying and what we Michael and I have discussed. In fact, the other day I read a blog post from someone who was like, "Well, I'm a witch, but my practice isn't that great. Life gets in the way. But this year, I feel like I have to practice more." And I'm like, yeah, I bet you do, because that's just the vibe that's in the air. So, yeah, I really feel like that is one of the reasons why we have been called to talk about this, to talk about the integration of the witch, to talk about, why we believe that this is the year of the witch.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about this. Like, I want to say we talked about this on our live feeds, and as well as the Sacred Circle when we were guests over there, and throughout our pages and such. But 2016 was a very interesting energy. And it really uprooted a lot of stuff. And I want to say, April Shaley, of April's Astrology, one of her videos expressed basically this. Fuck, what was it? It was like this energy where it's like you're either gonna move forward, progress, and get on it, or die. Um, and I want to say 2017 really is expressing that energy where, those of us who practice regularly and those of us who are taking action and we're moving forward and we're doing things to really progress our craft and our lives. The energy that 2017 is creating and providing, it's pushing us to do the same thing. So we are going with that flow of energy because it's progressing us to where we need to be. And then those people, um, it really is a lot like for those Christians who might be Christian witches, the Left Behind series, that energy that comes in, those people who are ready to ascend or move forward or whatnot, they're going. And then those people who aren't doing shit, that energy is such an intense energy, and it vibrates at a very intense rate that they might fall. Their lives might be a little more chaotic. Their experiences are going to get very very harsh because they're not following through with practice.
Exactly. I totally agree. And it's been building and it's been building. Things are getting so much more intense, and in my opinion, there is so much more spirit activity to me this winter, when usually it seems like a kind of lull in magic for me, especially, or not really in magic, but like in spirit activity, I should say. As far as obviously I've always communicated with my deities and ancestors, but it's not as strong in the winter for me a lot of times. But this winter has been the total opposite, and almost has had this very Samhain, very the time of the dead feel, and it just keeps culminating. So, but yeah, witches, what we do, we speak to the dead, we communicate with our ancestors, we talk to deity, we cast spells. We are always a witch. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is to me when I hear witches talk about how life gets in the way. And I talked about this a little bit on my Facebook Live, and we talked about a sacred circle, so I don't want to harp. But, it's kind of like when I hear a lot of people judging, and I do it too, so I'm not judging you for judging. But we hear a lot of people judging, like, oh, that person says they're Christian, they're not acting Christian.
Mm.
And we don't expect them to act not act Christian at work. We expect them to be a good Christian and act like a Christian at work. Oh, if he was really a Christian, he wouldn't be that way. So you can't expect people of other religions and spirituality to always act as a member of that specific religion and not expect the same thing of yourself.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, that's the biggest point I feel like that I can make about that. We don't expect that out of other people and their religions. So don't act like that's something that you can hide behind, especially this year. Oh, well, life got in the way and I couldn't practice. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can. What the hell are you doing? If you are so busy that you can't take 15 minutes to cast a spell. I mean, because let me tell you, I've led some crazy, hectic schedules in my time, where going from working 100 hours a week, and I still had time to cast. I might have been dragging my ass to my altar, but I cast. So
right. And there is an owl outside on the tree over here, and I keep hearing it, and it makes me think of deity, because there's a deity that I work with, but it reminds me of deity. It reminds me of the spirits who have come before us, the witches who have come before us. And so what witches do, if we take inspiration from that, we are the priests and priestesses of our spirits, our deities of our craft. And I think that's important for us to realize, because every witch has their own power. Every witch has their own influence. And so we build that knowledge base, that experience, and that experience is from practicing. That knowledge is from practicing. And so we are consistently, that was weird. We're consistently, taking action, and we're consistently practicing and trying out new things, and we are developing our skills. And so our connection to the divine, our connection to the source, our connection to spirit, that energy is very important for witches, because it helps us to cast, it helps us to be in alignment with who we are. And as we interact with the world around us, when we are constantly connected and we understand this is who we are, this is what we're made of, we respond or we react from places of power. And every time we do that, it triggers the essence of the witch, which helps really remind us that this is us. This is who we are, and so there's no separation. And so that's what we do, you know. Yeah, we fight, we stand up, we speak our truth, we learn, we grow, we don't make fucking excuses. We take responsibility. Um,
Right.
yeah, there's just so much that we do, you know, and I think that's kind of that's like the important thing to express is it's what witches do, and that's the thing, witches do. It's action.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we do not sit on our asses and just take it, you know, because we don't have to. Why? Because we are witches. Why don't we have to take it? Because we are witches. Like, how many times do I have to say that for people to really grasp it? I'm not trying to be an asshole here. It's just the truth. And I think that the more we express it, the more that people can really understand it. It's that you are witch, and witch is power. Which is essence, and we have the connection and the interconnection with spirits, deities, herbs, crystals, oils, all of it that is energy, and all of it that has power to create change.
Mm-hmm.
So witches do. That's our thing. We manipulate.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we do. We do stuff. And, yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out the way we want to. Sometimes the spell works, but not in, exactly the way we thought it was going to, but it still works. I can't tell you how many times that I felt like we were coming into a hard times, into a hard space, either financially or in some other way. And I've cast and I expect like this, windfall of money. And what happens is we have a windfall of like food. People bring us like, because I live in South and there's a lot of hunters, and so all of a sudden we'll have like a freezer full of meat the very next day, and I'm just
Right.
like, well, that's not what I was thinking, but you know what, this works. Or it'll be some crazy instance like we had a vehicle breakdown, and we find out not long after that, oh well, this is you might as well just scrap it, it's not going to work. And then an hour later, after I cast a spell, say, we've got to get this fixed. A friend calls us like, hey, that used to be a car dealer. Hey, I've got this car that I think y'all might like. I don't know if you're looking for a car. Yes, we're looking for a car. We need one right now. Well, I tell you what, you just test drive it for a week or two until you have some, the money saved up. And it's like, oh, thanks, and stuff like that. And then, the next day, my husband got a job where he got a company vehicle with the job. So, bam,
Right.
that's what happened. And it doesn't always work out that way, but it's always it works out in the best way.
Right, because you
Okay?
took action.
Exactly. Because I decided, hey, I'm not going to put up with this. I'm not going to stress about this. I'm not going to sit here and wonder how I'm going to get my child to school and how I'm going to buy groceries. I'm going to take control of this situation. And you have to be in that place where you are not going to take no for an answer. You're going to take control of your situation, and you're going to get what you want. And it may not, like I said, it may not be exactly what you think it's going to be, but I guarantee you it'll be something.
Right.
I mean, granted, there's things that we just can't circumvent. There's things that I personally believe that we have chosen before we come into this life again, into the human realm, the physical plane, to experience because we chose it. And it will happen. But even then, as witches, we chose to experience that so we can take action and do something about it.
Right, right. Yeah, and the thing is, and we've talked about this before, so this is going to just be like a refresher, really. But you have to act like you can't worry in a sense about all of these things, and your first thought process, especially as a witch, is not to worry. It's really to formulate a plan, a course of action, because you know that as a witch you have power to create differently, therefore you are not a mundane, so those rules do not apply, like you said on your live feed today. Like, those rules do not apply to us. So we have that influence, that energy, that power, that skill to formulate a plan, a course of action, and follow through with, because we can do that. We can create that change. So we should not be worrying about, well, fuck, when am I going to get this money? No, we should be coming up with a plan to take action, to create something different, to attain what we are lacking, or anything like that. And I think I've said this before, and I was talking. I was talking with my boyfriend. A few days ago, about like gratitude, about appreciation, and more so like how what he's implementing in his own practice, and how waking up and being mindful and being grateful, and saying how I'm thankful for this, and how that has actually shifted his experience, and how he's starting to see things from a different perspective. And so he may not cast as I cast, but he is starting to see results for being appreciative and grateful and thankful, and expressing that to whatever he expresses it to. And so I think that's also something that the witch needs to be made aware of as well. Like, we need to integrate that aspect into our practice more, because I feel like we just take. There's the people who don't take shit. They don't take anything because they're just like, bake sale Wiccans. And then you have the witches who are like, just, I'm going to cast for everything. I'm going to get what I want because I am a witch, and that's cool. But they're at the other extreme, and they don't understand really that we have to be, we don't have to be, but it's more beneficial to have that flow of appreciation, and that flow of gratitude and thankfulness, because it creates those like healthy thought patterns where when you cast for something and then you start to receive, and you're thankful for that energy, you're thankful for that experience, because look what you did. It reaffirms the witch as a caster. We cast and we received and we got results, and it also reaffirms to the energy, the deity, spirit, whatever that we're working with, that hey, I can bless this person, this energy, they really like it, and as they're grateful and thankful for this energy, they're sending me something. It's very like a cycle. And so the more that we're mindful and we're thankful and such, the more we see change in our reality, and it co-creates with the witch's power to create something even more amazing. I'm rambling, but hopefully that's making sense.
It's making total sense. I mean, it's like that we discussed sacrifice here the other day, and on the sacred circle we talked about, deities and spirits helping you out, and it's an exchange. And that's the same, that is a universal law. There is an exchange, whenever you receive something, there is an exchange. You either, if you just take and aren't appreciative and aren't giving thanks or showing your appreciation, just like every relationship you've ever been in from the beginning of your life, pretty much, whenever you realize that there was a concept of relationships to now, there's exchange. And if it's one-sided, eventually that exchange is not going to be pleasant.
Right.
It's going to start drying up to nothing eventually. So when we are casting and creating, and receiving information from deity, receiving information from spirit. When we are working towards accomplishing something, we show gratitude, we give honor. That altars are places of power, but they're also places of respect and honor. And I mean, if you think about altar, and I know I keep going back to Christian examples, but they have a few pretty good examples that we could probably learn from whenever it comes to, I mean, my grandparents were Baptist, and they were beautiful people. They did not judge. They were not like super judgmental or anything like that. They loved everyone. To me, they were the perfect example of Christians. But every meal, they were thankful for that meal. Of course, my grandparents grew up during the Depression too, whenever they didn't have food. So I'm sure that helped instill that thankfulness, but going through that experience. But they were thankful for every meal. They were thankful for everything. Whenever they went to church, they gave thanks more than I ever saw them ask for anything. So whether it be from deity or from people. So, and they always lived a very comfortable life. They were very happy. And to me, that's the key. You have to remember to give thanks and be appreciative and give that sacrifice of self,
right,
in order to be in a thriving, healthy relationship.
Well, yeah, and I think you said it well when you said being happy. Happiness is a very interesting energy, and obviously it's not something that we can attain 24/7. We can have fragments of happiness throughout our day, and that's cool. But I think that it's beneficial and necessary for us to understand the whole process of life and our emotional, expressions, because that's another thing that witches do. We are very expressive in emotion in whatever way that we express it. We channel our emotions very intensely. We feel very intensely, and for me, maybe I'm crying, or maybe I'm writing, or maybe I will channel my emotions in a different way than maybe Melissa does, and everyone else does, and we have our own ways of doing it. But I really feel like every witch has their way of handling their emotions, and our emotions are very heightened. They're very aware and very intense, and so that's another thing that we do is. We're very empathic. We're very emotional creatures. And it's important for us to allow ourselves to have that outlet to express ourselves and to not be scared of whatever it is that we're feeling, and to be able to express it and take those risks and take those challenges and share and be very safe and healthy in how you express yourself. But as a witch, it's so important for us to allow those emotions to flow through us and have their time, their space. Because if we hold those emotions back, it just creates more friction, more challenge for us, and we don't really, eventually we blow up, and that's not a pretty sight. And so, that's where malediction also comes in, because malediction can actually lead to happiness eventually, because like we've expressed before, it's very therapeutic. So again, it's not our place to judge what each witch does, but that's again the thing. Does a witch acts? A witch practices? A witch takes action? A witch can't just take a book and just read it. That's not witchcraft. Witchcraft is taking the knowledge that you experience and that you absorb, and allowing it to flow through your mind, allowing it to make sense to you, and then putting it into motion in the physical world. So as you absorb information, absorb energy, absorb the knowledge within a book or whatnot, you then, as witch, have to practice. You have to put that energy out into the world to really create and manifest and call it forth. To it's the law of attraction, really, what people call the law of attraction. What you put out, you receive as well. And so when you put out that knowledge, you're also reaffirming the power of the witch. Okay. So it's important for us to practice. Witches have never been seen as, how do I put this? If we were those who just, had our nose in our books, we wouldn't be called witches. We wouldn't have the history that we have. Always we have practiced and we have done and we have created and we have, cursed and healed and killed and given life and, aided birth and all of this stuff. We have been active participants in this reality in life. And so it's important for us that's what witches do.
Exactly. Do you hear that? That's my ice maker on my refrigerator. I'm sorry, guys.
Funny. I was like, vacuuming.
But yeah, exactly. That's what witches do. We practice. And yes, we will tell you, and you would hear this come out of both mine and Michael's mouths. Do not conjure something you can't banish. Do not, ignorantly, cast when you don't know what you're doing. So obviously, yes, reading and learning is a good thing, through books and from others. But at the same time, you can't hide behind that, well, I'm scared I'm going to do something wrong. We're always, everybody has the thought in the back of their head, well, I could totally be fucking this up. That isn't everything you do. Yeah. You talk to any parent and they will tell you, I'm pretty sure I'm fucking my kid up. That is the way we are. We doubt ourselves. There's not manuals for anything in life. You just have to take a chance. Granted, as a new witch, I would not try to conjure a demon or, go meet, the devil at the crossroads. Okay. That wouldn't be my first spell.
Right.
Just saying, there's common sense here that you need to use, but try stuff, push your boundaries, step out of your comfort zone, do things that are exciting, do things that challenge your limits, you don't have to do something to the extreme, but do something that challenges your limits. Don't constantly cast prosperity spells all the time and wonder why your magic is boring you. Branch out. Do other stuff, but do stuff.
Yeah, and to support what you're saying about, know your limits and push within reason, your skill set. So when you're practicing, if you can actually visualize an apple or not. So if you are going to do something that's going to require you to visualize this entire elaborate scene, yet you cannot visualize an apple, you don't want to go straight to that because that's just going to piss you off even more, frustrate you, make you feel lesser than. You need to start somewhere. So you start with that apple, then you go on to something else, and you keep building upon your skills, and eventually you get to that place. And that's kind of the only way you're going to get here is to be here and progress. But damned well, if you're here trying to challenge and get here super fast, that's not healthy, and that's just not going to be really possible because you don't have that foundational skill to help you reach that level or reach that experience. So just work within that, but know that always challenge yourself, always progress, and always step above and beyond and go out and push those boundaries. But you have to have the foundational skills and those experiences.
Exactly. So be smart. Witch smartly.
Witch smartly, bitches. And that's the thing, y'all. It's like, witches do. We read, we study, we gain knowledge, Then we practice. We practice, divination. We practice our own form of psychic communication. We practice communicating with spirits, the dead. We practice channeling. We practice astral projection. We practice flying. We practice all kinds of things. We are constantly doing something, and that's very important, because in order for you to really gain in skill and gain experience, you have to keep practicing so that you expand that energy and you create more for yourself. But the thing is you have to keep practicing. That's what we do, and we're going to keep saying that until it's just done. But yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. We're just gonna keep repeating that shit till y'all do it. Till every witch that claims witch starts casting some damn spells. We, as much as I love crystals and oils, we are not collectors of shiny things. We are doers. We are not, people who play in fragrances. We are doers. We are not hoarders. I mean, okay, we kind of are,
maybe,
but we do stuff.
But we utilize stuff.
Exactly. And to me, a hoarding, you don't utilize it; you just hoard it. Well, we not only collect, we collect and we utilize. So, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, to me, it's like I don't know why. I just don't know why. But if you're gonna have a baby, you want to have a baby, you obviously have to do something to get the baby, to create a child. If you're here, which is here and which is here, unless that shit is like really long, that's not happening. Like you can't stay in the same spot and create that. You have to come together, obviously, and you have to have sex, and you have to, create the child. Or just if you just want to have sex, you have to come together and you have to do something. You can't just you have to act, you have to create, you have to move, you have to listen, you have to be a part of that experience. And so it's a very very fluid nature and energy that you create. So that's the same thing with witchcraft. You can't just stay still and expect something to happen. You have to go out there and create and act and do.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, is there anything else that we want to touch on with this subject? And y'all, if you have any questions, post them in the comment section and we'll talk about it. If you have anything that you'd like to express and say, please do so. Hopefully you can take from us and be inspired by what we say, and remind yourselves that so I'm a witch and I'm going to take action. I'm going to go and I'm going to cast, I'm going to act, I'm going to become myself.
Yes. Yeah, that's perfect. The only thing I can add is stay in your magic, do stuff, make things happen, cast spells,
and document your work.
Yes. Document your work. Y'all, I'm crappy at that, but I am getting better. I should say I was a lot worse about that, especially in the beginning, because it's all super exciting. And so you kind of forget to write stuff down. And then when you're in the spell zone, to me, once I come out of that zone, I'm so refreshed and full of energy. I'm kind of just bouncing off the walls pretty much for about 15 minutes. And then I'm like crashed. So I tend to forget to write things down. So that is super important. Write it down.
Write it down, which is all right, y'all. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you have anything that you'd like us to discuss and you want us to respond to, again, comment on the video and let us know. And we look forward to your interaction. We love communicating with you, and it's been fun, y'all. So until next time, peace.
Bye.